So I want to welcome everybody tonight to our group coaching program, How to Recognize God All the Time. If you are somebody that really struggles hearing God and you're just frustrated and confused and really can't hear God as well as you want to, well, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to share with you, as well as a couple of students, some testimonies as far as how simple and easy it is to hear God's voice. Type in the chat box if you like simple and easy. Because what I love to do is just teach in a way where anybody can hear God's voice, not only for themselves, but for others as well. Amen. And I know some of you are not too familiar with me. I don't know some of the people in the chat box. So I just want to introduce myself. I am founder of A Transforming Word Ministries. It started 6 years ago. I am a prophetic coach. I coach people how to hear God, not only for themselves, but for others, but ultimately how to have a more intimate relationship with the Lord. When I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, I was actually afraid of God because I never heard the gospel. I never knew that God loved me. In fact, it wasn't until I was 29 years old where I heard the gospel, and I actually heard it on Christian radio. And I skipped 2 months of going because I was so afraid. I mean, I had a big fear problem. So I made a deal with God. I said, God, I'll go to this church, but I just don't want anybody praying in tongues because that's what I heard on the radio. So I ended up going, and nobody did, thank God. But I skipped 2 months of altar calls because I still didn't understand the gospel. And then somebody at the end of church one night just said, hey, answered all my questions and said, do you want to accept Christ? And literally something changed on the inside when I said yes, when I prayed that prayer. But you know what? Nobody taught me how to recognize God's voice. I didn't know. I had no clue. And so unfortunately, I felt really frustrated and confused. Have you ever been frustrated and confused in recognizing God? It can be challenging because if you've never been taught how to do it, it's really tough to learn how. So how did I go from not recognizing God's voice to one who hears God so clearly for myself and literally thousands of others around the world? Well, one prayer changed everything. 17 years ago, I read an article by Lisa Bevere. Do you guys know who Lisa Bevere is? Her and her husband have a ministry based out of the Colorado Springs area. And she wrote an article, I believe it was in Charisma magazine, and she described just sitting down with Corrie ten Boom. And for those who don't know who Corrie was, she went through the concentration camp, survived, and just had an amazing ministry. And this is what happened is when Lisa was talking with Corrie, they were just having a conversation. And then Corrie did something that really got my attention. She stopped and she looked up to the Lord and says, okay, Lord, and then turned back and started talking to Lisa. And I said, Lord, that's what I want. I want to be able to hear you and talk with somebody at the same time. Now, if you want that, type yes in the chat box. I mean, you imagine that you're able to have a conversation, that you hear that still small voice in the inside and be able to have a conversation with somebody else? Well, you are just one prayer away from that. In fact, we are going to pray this prayer right now because I believe when I prayed that prayer, Lord, I want this, He answered it right then and there. So we're just going to pray. Just say, Lord, I want to be able to recognize your voice so clearly and have a conversation with anybody. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, if you believe God answered yes to you, put yes in the chat box. I know He did because He created you to have conversation with Him, to recognize that still small whisper on the inside. So that one prayer changed my life, and literally it just changed your life tonight as well. Well, A Transforming Word Ministries was birthed out of a Craigslist ad that God wanted me to do when I lived in Colorado. He just said, Jeffrey, just post an ad on Craigslist, ask people if they want a word from the Lord. It's like, Lord, do you know who's on Craigslist? He goes, I love them. It's like, okay, I'll do this, but I'm not going to use my personal email address. He said, okay. So he gave me atransformingword@gmail, and that's where it was birthed. For many of you, you know that I share anointed soaking prayers. Simply what that is there's anointed music playing in the background, and I just pray prophetically. But what's unique about this is I lead you in a conversation with the Lord during these soaking prayers. I've also coached students over the last 20 months in these coaching calls, how to recognize God all the time. In the last 6 months, I have another coaching program called Discover Their Purpose. And that's for those that graduate through the first one. So if you haven't been to atwministries.com, I encourage you guys to check it out at the end of this. So how can I help you recognize God all the time? Well, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you personal one-on-one monthly coaching calls with me. That's what you get. You're going to be part of a group that desires to know how to recognize God all the time. And it's so amazing when you're with like-minded people. You're also going to be able to participate in monthly live webinar trainings, just like tonight. And I'm going to be able to answer your questions about hearing God clearly. In fact, I had a student today on his third coaching call. He wanted to know what it was like praying in the Spirit. And so we prayed, and he's able to pray in the Spirit now. And then the last thing you're going to be able to do is just gain a greater understanding, recognize the difference between a God opportunity and a good one. And I share that with you during this program. So this is the first thing you're going to get, our live webinar group coaching starting next Tuesday, August 4th. And they're going to be on Tuesday nights. But here's the good deal. I'm recording all of these. And I know not everybody can make the live training. In fact, I have a student that hasn't even watched a live training. She had something going on, but I recorded it and sent it to her, and she was so blessed. And so they always start at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's just once a month. It's going to be the first Tuesday of August, September, and October. And so what happens during these live webinar group coaching? Well, first of all, you're going to learn simple, doable steps to recognize God all the time. I love simple and doable. In fact, I was talking with some students last Thursday, and they agreed an 8th grader could get this. They could understand it and just apply it. What I love about doing webinars is I always send you guys fill in the blank handouts. And the reason I do that is because you're going to follow along. It makes time go by faster, but you're going to learn much better, not only when you hear it and see it on the screen, but when you write it down. We also have Q&A sessions at the end of every coaching call. So if there's something that I covered in the coaching call that you have a question, that's where you get to do that in the chat box. You're also going to receive monthly assignments that are proven by other students that I promise you, guarantee you, will help you recognize God as long as you do the assignments. And like I said before, all the webinar training will be recorded and emailed to you. And here's just a few testimonials of those who went through the group coaching program. With the live webinars, one person said it gives you the tools to hear him and spread his word. How many would love to spread his word more? Well, when you understand that you can hear his voice, and you do, it's easier to do that. You're also going to be able to grow closer to God. Somebody else says, I am more confident hearing God, and I love this part, even if I get it wrong sometimes. I get it wrong sometimes. Anybody else get it wrong sometimes? It still gives you confidence that you're hearing him. And then finally, another person said, I feel more motivated and encouraged to give words to others. How many would love to learn how to give words to the Lord, where it's just super simple and easy? Amen. Well, on our one-on-one coaching calls, you're going to receive these monthly Zoom calls like we're doing right now that are going to be recorded and emailed to you. And what really happens is we just go over the webinar training and your daily assignments. You'll have Q&A time with me, so you can ask me questions about how I hear God's voice, giving words, intimacy, or just talk about questions that you have about your personal walk with the Lord. But we're also going to discuss what's helping you and hindering you from hearing God more clearly. And once you realize what's hindering you and you can remove some of those distractions, then you're going to start hearing that still small whisper. Amen? A couple testimonials here from our coaching calls is, one said, Jeffrey's a great mentor. He loves to teach. Yes, I do. For those who don't know, I went to North Dakota State University to be a coach, but I couldn't major in coaching. So they said, you need to be a teacher. So I was a physical education teacher, and I minored in coaching, driver's ed, and health class. So this obviously is a little bit different, but I love coaching. And somebody else said one-on-one coaching calls are great. They were perfect. So what I'm also going to do is give you a prophetic word on our third one-on-one coaching call. And so we're going to go through 90 days. So then on the last coaching call that we have, you're going to receive an encouraging love letter from the Lord. Again, this will be recorded, emailed to you, but this is really important. We're going to discuss what you do with the word once you receive it. Because I don't think there's a lot of training out there. It's like, okay, I got a word. I guess it's going to happen. Just because a word is spoken doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work. You have to do something with it, and that's what I teach you. Like I said, I've given thousands of words over the years, and these are some of the testimonies you get back in our email inbox. First one says, "Thank you very much for the word to me. It witnessed to my heart and was deeply encouraging." That's what's going to happen when you start giving these words from the Lord. It's going to witness. It's going to bring confirmation. It's going to resonate in their hearts. Another person said, "Thank you for the accuracy and the prophetic and sensitivity to the Spirit of the Lord." How many of you would love to give like an accurate word every single time, like spot on? Like when you say what stood out and they say everything. Well, that's what you're going to learn here in the next 90 days. And then finally, somebody said, "The word from the Lord you gave me was right on. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to give." And this is a gift I love giving. And once you understand that you have this gift and you can share it with others, literally thousands of people can be blessed by you just stepping out and giving a word. So that's one thing I'm going to teach you, is how to give a word from the Lord to somebody else. And here's the cool part is, I'm going to give you the opportunity to practice giving words from the Lord to other students in a very safe environment. And what do I mean by that? It's a grace environment, so you are allowed to make mistakes. And what does that look like? It looks like we're going to pull somebody up on the screen, and you're just going to ask the Lord some questions, and you type in the chat box, and that person will give you feedback whether it resonated with them or not. Okay? And people love to get feedback, especially if you're brand new at this. If you don't have a lot of confidence, this is where you get to make mistakes. Mistakes are allowed. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. So the question is, how is your life going to be changed in the next 90 days? And I want you to think about this. When I ask you these questions, just say, "I do" to yourself. Do you want to be more focused and intentional hearing God and obeying Him? Do you want to expand your comfort zone, giving words from the Lord to others? Do you want your time with Jesus to be more intimate? Do you want to feel more confident in recognizing God? Do you want to feel more comfortable asking God questions because you know that you're going to receive the answer? Do you want to discover more of God's purpose in your life? And do you want to experience more of God's love just for you? Well, that's what can happen for you in the next 90 days. Amen? And I want you to realize it's going to be a lot easier than you think. But this is what I want you guys to realize. This program isn't for everybody. It really isn't. And so what I want to share with you is who this program is for. It's for those that are committed to learning how to recognize God all the time. Does that describe you? This is for people that will do all their daily assignments. And why do I say daily? Well, I discovered that it takes 67 consecutive days to form a habit. So that's why, one reason why this is a 90-day program, because when you do this 67 days in a row with your daily assignments, then you have that habit for life. I'm also looking for students who are going to be accountable every day with your accountability partner. And not only are you going to be blessed, but your accountability partner is going to be blessed as well. Also, I'm looking for students who are going to be committed to finishing the 3-month program. And ultimately, this is what I'm really looking for. Are you one that has a desire to have a more intimate relationship with Jesus? Now, if this describes you as you look at all of those points, then this program's for you. But I also realize that this program isn't for everybody. So this program isn't for people that are not committed to finishing the program. So if you start it and you go, this is too tough, don't start the program. Unless you know that after 90 days that you're going to go, yes, I am so committed to this. If you're not willing to do the daily assignments, then don't join the program. If you're going to procrastinate, make excuses, not be kept accountable, then unfortunately this program isn't for you. But for those who are saying yes, what are you going to get? Well, first of all, you're going to get live monthly webinars for the next 3 months. You're going to get 3 personal one-on-one coaching calls with me on Zoom. On our 3rd coaching call, you're going to get a prophetic word, and then you're going to have opportunities to practice giving words from the Lord. Not only on the webinars, but on your assignments. So you get to give love letters to people. You get to give words to others in the assignment. So if you're afraid of doing it and you know you're not going to even attempt to give a word from the Lord, then this program isn't for you. But if you want to stretch your comfort zone and just see, how God can speak through you, then I encourage you to join. I mentioned before that all our webinars and coaching calls are recorded, emailed to you. You will have Q&A time with me. I'm going to send you weekly encouraging accountability emails. So each week you're going to email me back and just give me feedback on how you're doing. And I'm going to respond back to that. But there's also going to be a big surprise on our third webinar. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because you got to join to find out what that is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring up a couple of students that have gone through this program that they were willing to share their testimony. And they're just super excited to share. I'm trying to find where Nishika is. She's right here. Nishika met me several years ago when I went up to Minnesota at her church, and she had the opportunity to actually go through a workshop I did 2 years ago up in Bloomington, Minnesota. So she heard me speak. She went through the workshop, but she still wanted to go through this coaching program. So Nishika, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell people just a little bit about what it was like, literally just like 3 months ago, hearing God, and kind of where you are right now
Yes.
in recognizing his voice?
Absolutely. So today, to prep for this video, I was just thinking, what did 90 days look like for me? 90 days. In the past, I, was very big on like self-help. I think I read every self-help book or development. I also, with therapy, I was huge with my therapy sessions. And at that time, my therapist said, "You are great. It's time to release you." But I was really holding on to my therapist, like with the Kung Fu grip. That's the visual that I give myself, is the Kung Fu grip. But I did come across this program, and I was like, now is the time, because I needed to get out of my own way. I needed to learn to trust the Lord all the way, and not just when I wanted to trust the Lord. So this program has definitely changed my life. The last 30 days have been transformational. My family dynamics have changed. My children, I can tell a difference in them, the way that we get together, and we have Bible study and reflection time. Like, all of that comes from the secret place, the place where I've just, the place where I just spend time with the Lord. And through this program, you've given us some structure, because I needed structure. I had already been called into, the secret place with the Lord, but I was like, okay, now what do I do? And your guidance definitely helped in that area. One of the things that truly stand out to me, that's something that I will hold near and dear to me, is journaling. Journaling, the way I used to journal before this program, was like an emotional dump, right? I would just take a pen and a paper, because I'm still old school. I write with pen and paper, and I would just go at it. And now it's different. Now I ask the Lord, what do you want to talk about? And half the time we don't even touch on the things that I thought were, stressful at that time. So it's just been a transformation all around for me.
That's amazing. And I know that as you've journaled, you get a lot more closer to the Lord. And you talked about the secret place. You're one that, you could invest hours every day, because once you get into it, you want more and more of that. And I think, our guests tonight, that's something that they're craving as well. Tell us a little bit about your accountability time with your accountability partner, and how it blessed you and blessed him as well.
Absolutely. So I remember watching this webinar, very similar to this one, 90 days ago. And I was told to report who my accountability partner was. And right away, Holy Spirit said, "It's my son. His name is Jamel. He's 13 years old." And I didn't know how you were going to respond to that, but I knew that he was supposed to be my accountability partner. And he took his position very seriously. He would find me every single day, ask me these 4 questions, but there was a lot that was gained. Faith. His faith grew. My oldest son, his faith grew. So yeah, the accountability was a major part for me, because I knew that I needed to share with him what the Lord had revealed to me that day.
Amen. And would you say that the assignments are pretty simple and easy to do?
Yes. So the assignments, okay, so I'm one that says simple, but not necessarily easy, because I struggled at the beginning with some of the assignments. Like, for instance, let's just say like reading the word out loud. Well, when you're in a habit, right, you have to do something. What did you say? 67 days before it becomes.
Yes.
So like it took me a while. It didn't take me 67 days, but it took me a while to really like start to read out loud. And when I started to read out loud, I slowed down and the revelation came, and I would sit back and I was like, my goodness, I've never really saw scripture in that way before. So yeah, the assignments really helped out.
Yeah, I like when they're simple and doable, and the Lord just gives me these lessons. And you were talking about journaling before, Nishika. This whole program was birthed out of my journal. I didn't come up with this. I mean, all the lessons I do, all the webinars, they're all in my journal. I type mine out because it would take a long time to write mine out like Nishika does, but old school, I understand that. Before you go, what would you share with the guests tonight regarding this program?
Oh, wow. So I would say you're not here by coincidence, and to, consider something like this. If you've been praying for a change and you want to go deeper into the spirit and really like lean not on your own understanding, but on the Lord, then this is a program for you, because it will stretch you. And you will see the results. And I think that that's the amazing part. It's like I look back from 90 days or even, 30 days. And it's every single month, I have seen results. So.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Nishika. Can you stay around to the end? I'm going to pull both you and Matthew up, and then we can do Q&A at the end, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, the next student I'm going to bring up is Matthew, and I met him through a mutual friend in Colorado, and it was just been a blessing to get to know Matthew, because just his desire to have a more intimate relationship with the Lord. And so Matthew, thank you for joining us tonight. Just kind of FYI, he is in EMT, so we're not sure how long he's going to be with us, but thank God he's able. Do you guys see the glory behind him on the screen? Oh my gosh. He's anointed. Just want to let you know. So Matthew, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey.
You want to tell us a little bit about, because you started this program in January. What was it like at the end of last year, and then the reason you joined this program?
Well, let's say before I started the program, much of my life was like a train wreck. I grew up in the church, stuff like that, for as long as I can remember. But, a lot of us were like, we would have mixed dreams and stuff like that, and wondered if God ever spoke. We're having a hard time identifying between our spirit and our soul and stuff like that. Just hearing in general, I wonder if really did God speak, and He really does. As far as like this program, it's hands down like, well, I could say hands up, but anyways, it's the fact of that you're not going to find another course like this, and you're not here by mistake in any way. But to truly know that from this program, God loves you and desires to speak to you. And Jeff all around helps you as a coach during this program. And I can't say enough good things about him. Anyways, before I started this program, I was like a train wreck on a train wreck. I was having a hard time hearing, wondering if God ever spoke, just like I didn't know what to do. Anyways, from this program afterwards now, I have a lot more peace in my house. And my wife has noticed, they say your spouse knows more about you than you know your own self over time. Yeah, that's true. My wife over time has realized, you don't think you're changing, but you're changing. You have no idea. And I've noticed, like I said, the peace in my house over her. She's noticed so many different things. She's been seeing in the angelic and in the spirit realm, and things that I took from this course. It carried over and into my marriage. I've had encounters to where, with the Lord, to where he'll teach you by encounter with his spirit, as far as him, just like Samuel did and Moses, where like he taught them in his presence, and from that, he transformed me in ways to where I could be a husband to my wife, a father to my newborn child. Just the differences now are just so much different than I was before I started this program. Like I said, my wife sees at times the angelic. She's seen like my newborn's guardian angel. Just I can't say enough good things about this program. I've also learned in this program that it truly takes surrender. It truly takes to where you just listen to the Lord, make that decision to where you say, you know what, whatever's hindering, whatever's blocking me, I'm going to blow up that pipeline and just say, you know what, I'm all in, I'm going to listen. And I'm just going to let him express his heart to me and just surrender from there. Anyways, like I said, he wants to show you his nature and who he is. A lot of, I wouldn't say, well, I would say this. He wants to represent himself to you and not, and that's what Jeff teaches you. It's like to go to the Lord himself, let him teach you who he is and learn from there. Other than that, I mean, anything else you want me to say, Jeff?
Well, I love the coaching calls that we had, and the Lord was just reminding me, I think of our first coaching call, that there was just some lies that you were believing. And that's the one thing that the Lord has given me a gift. Like when I hear a lie, I shut that thing down. I say, that is not you saying it. That's just the devil wanting you to believe it. And I've had other students the same thing too, where that's where they've gotten their breakthroughs on the one-on-one coaching calls. In fact, there's a lot of people that I know that are watching that are prophetic, that they're going, well, Jeffrey, I hear God, this is great. But I think it's the one-on-one coaching calls is where the special sauce is, where things, because I keep you guys accountable. If and I kind of push you guys too. It's like, you got to do your work. You got to do the homework. Somebody said that last night in one of our webinars, you got to do the work. If you do the work, it's going to pay dividends. Tell us a little bit for your perspective, Matthew, with our one-on-one coaching calls.
Our coaching calls, oh man, it's like I said, it's like a heat-seeking missile coming right into the middle of your conversation. Just know that Jeff is led by the Lord in your conversation with him before you log on, to where he's going to pray about the situation and what to talk about, and he's just going to mentor you in any way possible. But as far as our coaching calls together, you mentored me in many ways, lifted me up, deciphered what was the enemy, what was not the enemy, as far as like just help break stuff off of me, and just entering that place in the spirit, just knowing him and pressing on to encounters. That's where I live from now, is encounters. I can't say enough good things about coaching calls one-on-one. The one thing you do is you hold us accountable for sure. So
yeah, anyway. And I love that too, because when the enemy gets a foothold and I see it and I don't say anything, then I'm just going to let you guys go to the next, for the next month with that foothold and stronghold. So I love you guys allowing me to share what I see. And I always appreciate the students being very transparent with me. I know that's some of the stuff's very vulnerable, but you got to be set free, because all the guests here, they want to recognize God. What would you say to the guests tonight, Matthew, that are kind of on the fence? Should I do this? Should I not do this?
Well, for a while I was on the fence. And Jeff, you know me, as far as like, it's just like, oh my God, let's just go all in, man. Just forget it, all in. Definitely, for sure. Join the program. You won't regret it. In fact, God is actually waiting for you on the other side in encounters to take you into deeper places in the spirit. And that's where breakthrough's at, to where it's like he just wants to break stuff off you to show you who he is and just be a son and a daughter. So.
Thank you so much, Matthew. As you were saying that, what I'm thinking is the devil doesn't want anybody to do this. He doesn't want anybody to hear God more. He definitely doesn't want you to flow in the prophetic. And so if there's a fear rising up, it's probably not God, just kind of FYI. Amen. Well, Matthew, thank you for sharing your testimony. Can you stick around at the end and then answer questions? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, hopefully you guys were all blessed by those testimonies. Right in the chat box if you guys were blessed by what Matthew was sharing and what Nashika was sharing. And then we're just going to finish up here real quickly. The rest of, yes, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So as you know, we're only on this earth for a very short period of time. And, it's almost, how much longer are you going to wait until you recognize God's voice where you can just flow effortlessly in the Spirit? You don't want to continue to struggle, do you? You don't want to continue to be confused and I don't know if this is God, not God. My question to you is, how much is this program worth to you? And Matthew actually said this on the second coaching call. He goes, I would have paid $25,000 for this program. I still haven't received the check, Matthew, just kind of FYI. But it's not going to be $25,000. I'd definitely tell you that. But he's saying it was worth that. I actually went online a couple days ago and I found somebody else who committed for 1 year to learn how to recognize God's voice, to know his voice for 1 year. Now he's teaching this to others. And I noticed his program is like $1,295. But the good news is it's not going to be $25,000 or $1,295. So I'm going to share with you 3 options as far as how to get started. The first option is you can just make monthly payments for the next 3 months for $197 a month. I will give a discount if you want to just make one payment for $497. You can do that. But I have a special group discount. If you can find 3 friends to join you, then it's only $397 for each of the students, okay? I will let you know that I had a student from another country join last week. She already paid the $497. She couldn't even wait. She didn't even want to wait for this webinar because she saw it before. And so if you believe God is wanting you to do this, God is going to provide for it. Amen? It's almost like if you would not go to Starbucks every day for the next 90 days, this is definitely paid for. So what I want you to do is email me. And if you look at the bottom of this, there's my email address, jeffrey@atwministries.com. And this is what I want you to email me. First thing I want to know is why you want to learn how to recognize God all the time. Why do you want to join this program? I need to know your why and reason. Not because God's telling you to, but why do you want to join this? The second thing is I need to know who your daily accountability partner is. If you don't have one, then you can't join this program. So you need to pray and ask, and then just ask that person, hey, I'm going to ask you 4 questions every day. Just take a few minutes. Just ask me and I'll answer those questions for you. That's as simple as it gets. And then the third thing I want you to do is which investment option works best for you. Okay. So email me at jeffrey@atwministries.com. I'm going to send you out this replay. And then once you let me know how you're going to choose, then I will send you out the payment option links. I will let you know that there is limited enrollment though. And so we're only going to accept 15 students in this program. However, one is already signed up. So there's only 14 slots left right now. And I've already invited over 1,000 people to join us. And so I just encourage you, if you believe this is what the Lord wants you to do, I encourage you to sign up. Registration is going to close next Monday. Why? Because next Tuesday night, a week from tonight, we're going to have our first live group coaching webinar. And again, it's always Central Time. So you'll have to determine what time zone that you're in. In fact, the one in Europe, she is 7 hours ahead. I had a woman in our last program that was from Zambia, and she stayed up till 3 in the morning to watch these live, even though she could have watched the replay. But that's just how committed that she was. So I just want to review real quick what you get. You're going to get live monthly webinars for the next 3 months, our 3 personal one-on-one coaching calls. You'll get that prophetic word on our 3rd coaching call. You're going to practice in a very safe environment, giving and receiving words, but also your assignments, you'll be able to do that with your friends and family and even strangers. Just practice giving words and let them know you're practicing. All these webinars and coaching calls are recorded, emailed to you, so you can watch them again and again. You'll have a Q&A time with me. But here's the important point is you're going to get weekly encouraging accountability emails. So I want you to email me back every week and just say, hey, Jeff, I'm really struggling with this one. Or no, this is amazing. Share testimonies. But you'll get to do that for the next 90 days. And then, like I said before, there's going to be a big surprise at the end of the program. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Nishika and Matthew again. And if you have not written down the email address, again, it's jeffrey@atwministries.com. And you will have till next Monday to join us. So Matthew, I'm going to pull you up first. And then Nishika, you are going to be right after that. All right, Nishika, I believe that you are coming up. Yes, all right. So I will go gallery view. So what I want you guys to do is open up your chat box right now and then open it to full screen. I'm gonna open it up to the full screen right now. What is an accountability partner? Albert, great question. Nishika, you just want to share a little bit about that, what you expected from your accountability partner and what really happened?
Sure. So an accountability partner is someone that's going to hold you accountable. They're going to ask you daily. So it's someone you have to speak to daily. They're going to ask you 4 simple questions, and you'll be able just to reveal to them what the Lord has shown you for that day.
Amen. Real simple. Why is it so important to have an accountability partner?
I think it's very important to have an accountability partner because sometimes, there's a saying, you don't want to go, your mind is like a dark alley, you don't want to go at it alone. So it's like, that's how I think about an accountability partner, is that they're one that you can talk to about things that God has revealed to you and that you're not just thinking about it yourself.
Amen. So Albert, did that answer your question? You have a good idea what accountability partner is? That was a great question because I'm sure some others were thinking of that as well too. You're welcome. All right. Matthew, tell a little bit about your accountability time with your accountability partner. Was it your wife?
Yeah, it was my wife. Over time, I was like, I don't know if it should be my wife. I don't know. She knows me better than anybody else. I don't know. I'm not quite sure about this, And it was like, no, it's your wife. Come on.
But she was blessed by it too, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, because she was just seeing the changes in me, and you know how it was. It's just like I'm like I don't feel like I'm changing at all. I'm not sure what's going on. And my wife's like, oh no, you're changing. She goes, I can see the differences. So
that's really cool when you hear it from somebody that's close to you as well. Amen. Mm-hmm. So who else has a question for either myself or Matthew or Nishika regarding the program? Hopefully it was all explained really in detail. You know exactly what to expect. And we'll just about another 30 seconds. You don't type in the chat box and we'll just kind of close this out. I look forward to your emails. Here's the deal: is if you want to do this program and you want the discount, then find 3 other friends and send them the webinar link that I'm going to send you guys out tomorrow so that they can watch this. And then because we had a couple last fall did it, and then his cousin and wife did it. And you know what they did? Every Sunday they got on the phone and they discussed their assignments, and they just practiced giving words to each other, which was really, really cool. So, well,
may I add something?
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to share, I did ask my accountability partner this morning, what is something that you would like to share that, any changes that you saw in me? And he said he definitely saw more confidence with me giving love letters and, praying for folks. So that was something that was really good too, for my child to notice that.
That's awesome. And it's good. Well, and Matthew had said that too, in regards to his wife notices a difference. And obviously when your sons notice a difference. So all of you that are going to join, you're going to realize that people will see a change in you, that will be something they're going to be drawn to that, because both these two here have such an intimate relationship with the Lord. And it's almost like they're going, Jeffrey, can you just get off so I can go spend time with the Lord? They're going, how did you know that? That's a word from the Lord. That's how good this program is. So, well, for those who are, like I said, on the fence, you just have to ask yourself, do I want to continue struggling here in God? Do I want to continue to be afraid giving a word? I know there's some people, and Matthew touched on this a little bit as far as our coaching calls, that there are some people that are afraid to have an intimate relationship with the Lord. But the more that you know the Father's love, the more that you're going to go in. And that's what Matthew did is, I mean, he just continued to pursue the Father's love. And so he can't get enough of the Lord. And hopefully all of you guys feel the same way. So, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I look forward to your emails. And like I said, I will send this out to you tomorrow. And again, I want to thank both of you guys for helping out tonight. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
All right. You guys have a great evening. All right. Bye now.
You too.
Bye.